welcome back to Tony's Top Tips Workshop. I've got another video, and it's on request from a friend of mine that he's in America actually, and he's just got a Xtool, and he was wondering how I engrave glass. Well, I've done quite a few, and I've done quite a few recently for the fire service that I were in, for some presentation glasses. Now what I'm going to do today is show you what I do. I mean, people do it, there's other different ways of doing it, but I'm going to show you what I do, and it's a relatively cheap way of doing it. I'm going to do it on the use the Rotary, and what I suggest is that we all have jam jars and that we finish with whatever we've got in them, jam or pickles or what have you, and if we don't use them, we put them in the recycle for glass. Well, what I suggest you do is keep a few, because they're absolutely brilliant at producing what you want on the glass without having to, you know, risk using a glass or a piece of glassware that you're engraving and find out that it's not gone right. So the best way to do it is to make sure that design is correct first. Doesn't matter what diameter, as long as because you can adjust that in the software, but as long as you get your pattern and your design and your finish to what you want, and it's immaterial, then you can just throw the jar away into recycle, but you've not used an item of glass there that you've purchased. And we've all done it. I started off originally, I got my design right and thought, yeah, that's it, perfect. Got the glass out of the box, put it on and started it running, and it hadn't been going above 10 seconds. It marked the glass, and I realised that I hadn't positioned the glass where I wanted it. I should have done, but I didn't. So it was further down the glass towards the base of the part that holds the fluid, not the stem, and it just spoiled it. So I wasted that. I use it myself now. but what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what I use to get this, and it's relatively cheap. You don't have to purchase any expensive paints. I mean, I'll just get you what I use. Right, I've shown this before on some of my videos, but that is what I use. I get it from a local Lidl. It's $3.99 a tin, and it does a lot of glasses, believe me. It's aluminium zinc spray, and it's silver. 400ml tin, and that's $3.99 at Lidl. And I use other paints, because some of the other paints for covering metal work as well, but I predominantly use this for glass, and it gives you a lovely, as though it's been done with, as though it's been blasted, it's a lovely matte etching that's on the glass. I give it 2 coats, and I'll show you exactly what I do. So we'll go over to the bench. Right, here we have the item. This is just an ordinary jam jar. I believe it had pickled onions in. What I do is, first thing I do is I always put a piece of tape across the top, and then put a mark on, because that's where I want the centre, that's the top part of the curve. You must have that, because otherwise you'll be just slightly off centre. I put that on, then I mask off, as you can see, round up to the area that I'm painting. Now that area is going to be painted, right? And what I always do is I make sure that I've got some masking tape over the end, because what you don't want is any paint to go inside there. However little, that laser will pass through, and if it's on the other side, it will leave a mark, and trust me on that, it does. And a lot of people, when they are lasering, especially on the Rotary, what they'll do is they'll actually put a wet piece of towel in there. Well, I've started not putting anything in. because I had a situation where I put a piece of wet kitchen roll in, and what happened was it dried the kitchen roll out, and the next thing I knew, it was smouldering inside the glass. So I had to, because it was near to the end of the engraving, it was expensive glass as well, so I had to wait. Unfortunately it didn't get any worse, but if that had have actually set on fire, I would have had to have stopped it and taken it off. I couldn't do anything about it, so I now leave the glass empty, but I do mask it on the end when I'm actually spraying. Okay, right, and it will have 2 coats on over that area, and I will be engraving within that area. So we'll go and I'll give it 2 coats of the spray. Right, as you can see, what you have to do, I give it 2 coats, but what I do is I give it 1 coat, let it dry off, and then give it another coat, flash it with another coat, and that makes sure that you've got enough of the paint on. It's only a very, very light coat, but once I've got the second coat on, what I will do then is remove the masking tape, because what you don't want is this masking tape making a juddering move on the rollers, because that will make it uneven and you'll get an uneven engrave. Okay, so I'm going to go put that somewhere to dry, and I'll show you what the design is that I'm doing over on the computer. Right, here we are at BC now. This is obviously light burn, as you can see. Now that in the centre is the design that I'm doing. You can see all it simply says is West Yorkshire Fire and Rescue Service. Okay, now when you go over to the it's set up obviously for Xtool D1. I do have my GRBL, which is LC40 on it, the Gem Mixer LC40, which I use quite a lot. It's on COM3. Job origin is left hand side centre. I've enabled Rotary, and if you go up to the Rotary there, you can see that it's enabled Rotary roller. Tick that, and it's for this per rotation it's 32 for the 17mm roller. That's what they are. If you were using the chuck, I believe it's 128. I have it wrote down. I can't remember everything. And I've put a micrometer across the, or vernier gauge across the jar that I'm using, and it's actually 70.9 millimeters diameter. So I put that in. That gives you a circumference. Okay, and that's it basically. Now we go over to the actual laser, and we'll go for the cut on laser. Now I have mine set on. I'll click on that one. For doing this, I have my line interval at 0.08. It leaves it, does it a bit closer together, so you don't see too much lining in it, but everything else is more or less standard. That's about the only thing that I've altered. I can use a fill on this because it will actually fill it. The design I've done will actually fill in the areas that I require. And if you go up to the preview, there you go, that's the preview. So as you can see, if you'd any open vectors or lot like that, what you'd find out is you get open vectors, you get a warning on here, and it would tell you to close them down and that. But as I say, I'm no expert on light burn because you use various softwares. I am still learning, and I still have to go on and find out certain ways of doing things. I do it a certain way, but I find out there's an easier way. So as I live and learn, as I always say. So that's the design that I'm going to be doing. Okay, so I've gone off that, and it's ready to, once the paint's, I will set it up on the roller, and then I'll show you framing it, make sure it's in the correct area, and then once I've done that, we shall go ahead and engrave it. Now I always use an extractor. I have one built in, it's above me here. It's an inline ducting fan, and I normally what I do is I'll put it near it. Now, element of safety here is you're doing glass. Glass can be reflective or into parts that you don't necessarily see until it's happened. So always when you're engraving glass, always wear your safety glasses, your laser safety glasses. You won't get a second chance if for some reason it reacts and comes back at you, or you walk into a certain way. Please wear your laser safety glasses. You can watch it then quite happily and quite safely. But I can't stress enough, glass, mirrors or anything like that with its chance of is it refraction, reflecting the laser beam, because if it hits you in the eye you will know about it. So please wear your safety glasses. Right, I'll go see if the paint's dried, and then I'll give it its second coat. Right, we're back now. The units, the piece of the jam jar has had 2 coats of the silver paint that I used. They're fully dry now, and I've put it on as you saw the settings, I've put those in onto the rotary, and it's laid on the rotary now. And as you can see there now, it's had its 2 coats, it's sat on the machine, on the rotary. I put a little bit of tape on here so that you know whether it's moved past. It's just packed up at that side a little bit, because this has to be level. I use a spirit bubble to check that it's level, and it is level. It's within the bubble markings, and then obviously all I do is frame it. And there it goes back to the centre. Okay, so now all we have to do now is run the program. All we're going to do now is start the program. Remember what I said, safety glasses. You must wear them on here. As you can see now, it is, can you see that, it's flashing. There's nothing inside that. It won't mark, the beam's not powerful enough to do anything on the other side of the glass. But if there was paint in there, it would mark it. I've had it occasionally where it's marked. I've got my air assist running, and I've got my extraction fan running. As I say, never, when you're doing glass, please remember to wear your safety glasses. Your laser safety glasses, that is. And then once this is finished engraving, all I would do then is, with a bit of cellulose thinners, is put it on a cloth and wipe the paint off, and it will leave what you've etched on or engraved on the glass. As you can see now, how the flashings, because it's coming more to the top part of the engraving now, that it's actually pushing the reflection out of the top of the glass. And I've left that open for the what I would normally do is keep that with the tape that I put on to stop paint going inside. I'd leave that on, because what it does do is it actually stops a lot of the reflection coming back out at this end. It makes it a little bit safer, but I've actually taken it off just to show you the flashing that you can see on the screen. Now if I didn't have my safety glasses on, I'd be seriously risking things. As it is, I can quite happily look at it through the glasses. Also, you must remember, do it in a well ventilated area, and if you have some extraction, please use it. We'll let that finish and we'll come back to that when the job's finished. And as you can see, that's the setup that I have. It's runs above, and it's all that is a inline ducting fan. That's it. And it's quite powerful. There's 2 speeds on it, slow and fast. I run it on fast because you want it to get the fumes away. Now I can't smell anything. All I can smell is the paint that I've sprayed. Not that it's burning off, it's removing everything. And on the base there's an adjustable arm. This is 3D printed, but there's an adjustable arm at the bottom, so when I'm using a honeycomb bed, that's magnetic based. That will, I can put it in any position I want. If it's only a quick sort of cutting or engraving, whatever I'm doing, then sometimes I just hold it there, and it obviously clamps around the end of the nozzle, and I can actually adjust it round. I think the fan itself is about £30, and it's really good. The hose, reasonably cheap. I think the hose is about £10, and I'll have enough to go out of my workshop doors. So see there how it's forming on the jam jar. As I say, I've found this from experience with now the wife, whenever we finish with anything that's glass, whether it be a bottle or a jam jar, she saves it for me. She washes them out, and then I use them to test different paints and see what they do. And it's ideal because you can use the rotary and you can test different materials. I've tried Pyrex, I've done Pyrex, no Pyrex dish, I engraved on that. That's nearly finished now, as you can see, and then I'll use the thinners to actually wipe the paint off. It'll just come clean off. There we are, job finished. Move that away. And as you can see there now, that's done. We'll now get some paint, thinners, and we remove the paint to show the etching or the engraving. Here we are, a bit of paint thinners. I'm just wiping it off, residue off. Do it a couple of times. I'll show you the results of it. Right, here we are. Hope you can see that. There we are. Hope you can all see that. and it's wiped off absolutely spot on. Look at the quality of that, and that's from using a simple paint from Lidl, $3.99, and you know, there's quite a lot of paint, 400 mils in the tin. So, and if you look at the engraving, and you can see on there, there's no lines in it. If I'd have used 0.1, it'd have probably shown a little bit more, but that, and it's permanent, it won't come off. I've had mine in the dishwasher and it still doesn't. It's marked, as you can see. So, and it's not once you've set your software up and put your 2 coats of paint on, it's relatively simple. The machine does it. You have to just stand back and hope that everything's alright, and that your drawing you've done's perfect. But there we go, that's the finished article. Just pop it on there and you might be able to see it better from here. Well, that concludes my video. I hope it's helped others, but also the request that I had. I've covered it in other videos that I've done, but not to this extent. You just wanted to know what I did, and that's the quality of the engraving that you can do. Xtool D1, Rotary, and a cheap tin of zinc paint from Lidl at $3.99. So, right, as I always say, like and subscribe. I always get back to you, and please, you know, I've had 1 or 2 bits of feedback from my videos, especially on my social media. I've passed my details on. Watch the video, and it's you know, some of the comments I'm getting is, and I thank everybody for the comments. They've been really positive, and I've learnt a lot from other people's ways of doing things, and all I do is pass it on. So until next time, as I always say, be careful, be safe, bye for now.